Do you want a weekly dose of energy and marketing tips to grow your business? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Lisa Pezik Show, a podcast that empowers entrepreneurs to heal and be heard, the permission to pivot, and the tools to design a life you love.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Lisa Pezik Show. I am so excited about this conversation today because, man, there is nothing that makes you feel better than putting good stuff into the world, working and doing things that matter and things that are based on your values. There's nothing worse than being lunged in or thrown into doing something that just that niggle in your gut doesn't feel right. Then you get into it, then you start doing it, then you start being known for it, and you feel like you can't get out. You feel like you can't backpedal. And that's one of the worst places to be, in that tug of possibly having a business that is successful, but it doesn't align with who you are as a human being. So today I'm so excited to have Ashlee Sang here with me today. Hello, Ashlee.
Hello.
I'm so pumped to have you because this is your wheelhouse. This is what you've been, riffing on lately about aligning your business or having a business that is based around your values. And your values are really what make you stand out. And I love that because I feel like as entrepreneurs, everyone's always looking for, the next marketing thing and the next strategy and the next sales thing and just the next thing they can go do. And if you don't have your values right, everything is going to crumble. So let me tell them about you before we dive in. So Ashlee Sang is based in Central Illinois with a background in anthropology and a penchant for travel. Through Ashlee Sang Consulting, she works with visionary founders who want to grow their impact and their business in a way that's rooted in values and propelled by purpose. Now, before doing brand messaging, strategy, and consulting, you worked with a variety of nonprofit organizations, including a human rights education NGO in Senegal and a local branch of Habitat for Humanity. And the common thread has been sharing messages that matter. You're passionate about small and personal changes anyone can make, which we're going to dive into today, to improve their environment and other people's lives. You're a fan of one-liners, happy surprises, and taking walks in the sunshine. Oh my goodness, I love that. So, and it looks like where you are, I know listeners you can't see, but it looks like a gorgeous sunny day wherever you are today in Illinois, right?
Yeah, it's sunny and very, very chilly, but we'll take the sun however we can get it. So.
Yes, we will. So I love the thought of being propelled by purpose. Ooh, that is a good one-liner. So talk to me about how you got into this and how you realized this really is the common thread and really does matter.
Yeah, so I am one of those accidental entrepreneurs. I was freelancing on the side and working in the nonprofit and international development space. And I know we had touched base beforehand, all about the green card process and immigration and marrying people who are not from our country. Yeah. And that was the catalyst for why I started freelancing, so that I could sort of have at least something going from no matter where we were in the world when we were really unsure of what our future looked like. And I fell in love with it. So I kept freelancing on the side, even when we were able to move to the States. And the more I found out about conscious consumerism on the consumer side, so like the more I found out about how I can vote with my dollars and support brands that are doing good in the world, the more I realized, there's a lot of opportunity for this freelance side thing I have going to intersect with this deep values-driven purchasing that I'm doing. And I can have a lot more impact if I'm building up these businesses than if I'm just one consumer and just, a tiny, tiny drop in the bucket. So I started my consulting business 3 years ago, and it has been a complete evolution from done for you copy and content to anything under the sun that clients needed, and now really honing in on strategy intensives so that these businesses are really clear on their purpose, their mission, their values, their audience, and the founders feel really good about showing up consistently and in alignment with all of those things that matter so deeply to them, and are ready to hit the ground running and make that big impact that they are after. So it's been a really fun journey, and it's really, really, I'm so thankful to work with these people who have these really powerful visions and bring them one step or 10 steps or however many steps closer to making it a reality. It's a really exciting position to be in.
Yeah, I love that. And how do they find you? Like, do they know that is it a pain point thing? Like they're not rooted in their values? Or is it nobody understands us because we are so rooted in our values and you do, so we want you to help us?
Yeah, I think it's more often the latter. So more often they're really clear on their vision. They know why they started this business. They know what they're trying to build. And it's really hard for them to communicate with everyone else who doesn't live inside their head and heart every day. It's really hard for them to bridge the gap between the people that they're trying to serve, the partners that they're trying to bring on board, the people that they want to hire. It's hard to get that pie in the sky vision onto paper and in a way that translates to everyone else in the world, or at least, the people you want to reach. So that is why they bring in outside perspectives, which is me. That is why they need someone to distill all of these things that so often seem so disparate. Like I have so many, especially visionary founders, have so many ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And they either don't know where to start, or they don't know how it all pieces together. A lot of people really identify with being multi-passionate, right? And I just don't know how to find that one thing that pulls it all together. And that is what I'm able to help with. And often it is your values. Often it is the people that you're trying to serve, and all of your past experiences or all the wonderful offerings that you want to bring into the world. If they are rooted in something like values, and especially shared values with you and the people you're trying to serve, that is where all the magic happens.
And how does that impact decision making? Like I always say, go back to your values when you've got a tough decision to make. How much do you find that plays into when your founders or whoever is the leader in the company has to make a big decision?
Yeah, ideally, that is where they go. That they go to their core values and also that core audience that they're trying to serve and or work toward, right? So what's really cool about the framework I use is that it not only impacts your marketing, but also your operations. So it impacts whether you should go to this conference or pitch this podcast or hire this person or create this new offer, and at what cost, at what price point for your audience. It tells you what platforms you should be on and what you should be posting about, all of these things that we have to decide on every single day, whether it is the small mundane things or the really big business changing decisions. If it is in alignment with your values, it should be an easy yes. And if it is outside of your values, then it should be a pretty quick no, so that you don't spend your time chasing all of these shiny opportunities that sound so amazing because you can see how they could really work out. But, oh, wait, this is not bringing me toward the purpose of my business. This is not bringing me toward the impact that I want to have. So it's a really powerful, just really living out your values, getting them on paper, reflecting on them, sharing them with your team if you have one, but then really living them out is what is such a powerful shift in your business. And it makes you feel a lot less, squirrel, like, yes, opportunity all over, or a lot it just makes you feel a lot more guided. And that is a perfect position to be in when you want to have as much impact as possible.
Yeah. And do you find that values are common amongst how you show up in all areas of your life? Like, I think about people that I do business with. It's like, I don't want you to be on stage and pitching me that you're this like most kind, generous human. And then I see you like walking out of the conference, like yelling at your wife or like yelling at your husband or yelling at your kids, or, you know, not that people can't have a bad day, but it's like, sometimes, you know, I don't want you to have certain values in certain things and not have it in other areas. Like when you said live it out, it made me think about business and personal. Do you find that companies that know their values, like that's them typically as a leader on the personal side too, or just the professional side?
Yeah, so it is all about consistency. Consistency in your brand, but also your staff. So whether you are a solopreneur, I mean, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're the face of your business, I mean, like my business is my name essentially. So like, and so many founders and especially service providers are, you know, directly associated, like their business is an extension of themselves. Yeah. So that's really your personal brand, but also your brand, the business that you're building. So that is when the consistency absolutely needs to be tight knit. But even if you have a team, or even if you have a product-based business, those values should be lived out in every single facet. So of course, how you interact with partners, customers, anywhere in public, but also the experience that you're creating. And so like, for example, I shop from Aether Beauty, which is a zero waste and non-toxic beauty company. And they really, really walk the walk. They talk about sustainability all the time, but everything from how they mail things to you, to how their products are packaged, to anything in between is sustainable through and through. Whereas I also order from some like organic fair trade clothing companies, and sometimes it comes packaged in plastic, and that is really, really misaligned for me. It's like, how can you care about one side of sustainability and not this really important side, which is how you're mailing out all the things that you're creating, right? So it's all about figuring out what you want to stand for, but then also how you can be as consistent as possible in every single area of your business. And the more consistent, the more trust you have, obviously, the more advocates that you're going to have on your behalf, and the easier it's going to be for people to recognize you. That's why I sort of have this motto of standing up for your values in order to stand out, because it's becoming known. Like, what do you want to be known for? How do you want to make people feel? And very, very often it comes back to those core values.
In my world, I call it your brand emotion, because I said marketing is what you say about yourself and how great you are and what you do and how you can help people. But the brand emotion is how other people say you made them feel when they interacted with not only you, but if you have employees or contractors, you know, all of that, or from start to finish, as you were talking about that brand, the clothing company, it matters from start to finish how those conversations and transactions are made. Cool. Now, what about if I have anybody listening who truly is like, crap, I never thought about my values. Like, I know it's important, but, you know, now listening to this, I don't know if I'm really clear. I may be, but how do we help them find what's important to them? Is there a certain number of values they should have? Is it one overarching value? What would you say there?
Yeah, I like to shoot for 3 to 5 values so that it's sort of it gives you a big enough picture, but isn't drawing you in a bunch of different directions, right? And they should all be supporting the audience you want to serve and the mission or impact that you want to accomplish or have. And then a lot of us sort of inherently know what we're working toward and what's important to us, but we just don't take the time to reflect on it. So I think it's absolutely worth taking the time to ask yourself, what do I want to stand for? What do I want to be known for? Right? Because to the point you just made, your brand is just as much, or honestly, even more so, how people perceive you than it is what you project, right? And what you project influences what they perceive, and how they perceive you is also going to impact how you leverage that, how you build from there. So you can ask yourself questions like, what type of behavior from yourself or others would you never put up with? That'll show you what you do want to stand for, because you know that any sort of intolerance just really gets you fired up. Okay, well then maybe tolerance is something that is extremely important to you and your business and what you want to create. You can ask yourself, what are the biggest issues that your customers face, and how are you creating a unique solution to that? And the way that you are directly impacting them and why you care about that problem might have some values that you are able to pull from there. You can also ask yourself just point blank, what do you want to be known for? When people interact with your brand, like, how do you want them to feel? You can ask yourself, why did you even start your business? A lot of these reasons will drum up these sort of values words. And they can absolutely adapt and evolve with your business and as your audience morphs and influences it, but you should have some sort of guiding force. It's a really powerful just compass and something to lean back on, to have this reflection period really be influencing your business.
I agree when you said about building trust.
Like
that might, sometimes it's the things you never even think of, why people will choose you and your company over somebody else's company. I remember even my husband and I, people were like, we want to work with you literally because you're a husband and wife team. And just seeing the way you are in your relationship and how you guys like collaborate and communicate is really admirable, and we love that. And we're like, oh, like we never would have thought being a husband and wife team. But even deeper than that, it's how we communicate and how we respect each other. So it's like respect is probably great communication, respect, support is probably a very important value to the people that say that to us. And when you can mirror those values and you see it in somebody else, as you said, it helps you stand out. It helps people choose you when they know what you stand for. Oh, yes. I love that.
I love that example. That is like the perfect example without any sort of, deep soul searching necessarily, right? It just happened really organically. And often because values are so core to your business, so a lot of times you're already living them out. It's just a matter of really figuring out, okay, how can I be even more intentional about this? So I love that example.
Yeah. Now, do you want to share about your husband? Do you want to tell them how you so he must obviously be on board too with like knowing that all these things are really important to you, but tell them a bit about your journey of how you guys got together and how this all came about too.
Sure. So he was also an accident, just like I am an accidental entrepreneur. He was definitely not the plan. I was studying abroad in Senegal in West Africa as an anthropology major and French and linguistics minor. It was like Senegal is the perfect place to study that. And we get host families, and I was placed with his older sister and her family. And actually the student that ended up becoming one of my closest friends, even to this day, we just went on our 10-year girls trip anniversary earlier this summer. And she was placed with my husband's family. So between those two connections, we sort of crossed paths and accidentally fell in love very, very quickly. And even though I was only there for a semester, I had to then go home and finish school, and I was away for a year. And then that entire year, I was searching desperately for a job in Senegal. Anyone I could possibly talk to on the internet that had a connection to Senegal, I was reaching out to them. And a lot of them said, oh, have you heard of Toast On? Have you heard of Toast On? Which ended up being the NGO that I worked with for all 4 years that I lived in Senegal. So I think like a week after graduation, I moved there. I started working with Toast On. And you learn so much about yourself when you live abroad, when you are thrown into new circumstances, and you learn so much about obviously other cultures and your own culture. And it was just a time of tremendous growth. And I really got to see everything from C-suite conversations, because I started as an executive assistant, and board meetings with an international board, to internal communications, grants, media relations, learned how to use Twitter for that job. I really learned a lot about communications while I was there. And so then we got married in 2015. And finally got our green card, his green card, I guess, but I was very active in the process, so it felt like our green card, in 2017. And we've been in the States ever since, building a life here. And so he's definitely on board with my very Enneagram 1 staunch principles, but he is not quite as intense as I am. But he's been a really big supporter of growing this business and taking leaps of faith. And it's been a journey for sure. And don't regret a single part of it.
Yeah, I think I need to have you back, and we could do like a whole podcast on the immigration process.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like Eric and I always say, man, if we can make it through that,
yeah,
our marriage is golden. Like I feel like we've already tackled the hardest part. Like we survive that together, we're good. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way about, I know what that's like to immigrate. And, ours was more Canada, Pennsylvania. At least it was still, North American.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the hardships and the struggles that you guys went through. Do you go back often? Like, I'm assuming he still has like all his family there and such, right?
Yeah. So most of his family is there. Some are in France. And he just became a U.S. citizen like a month ago or this month. Like it was, such a relief. And so now we're able to visit France, because before he didn't have a visa to France. So we couldn't even visit like that family. So he goes back at least once a year. I try to go back every other year. COVID messed up my year. So we're planning on doing a big trip next Christmas. And we stay as connected as possible, because it's such a big part of him, and it's so important. And it was such a big formative period of my life too, that it's also important that I stay connected too. So
yeah, and then that's such a beautiful example of living out your values and knowing who you are. And I love the advice that you gave about, not saying you have to throw yourself into a different country, to grow, but just the unknown, having the courage to go into the unknown. You start to realize things that maybe you never appreciated about yourself or realized about yourself. Oh, I love that. So what's the future for you? What do you got going on in the next little bit? What's cooking?
Yeah, well, actually, I have never talked about this on a podcast, but we have a baby cooking. She is due in like a matter of weeks. So that is
from like, the chicken or so up, but congratulations.
The power of Zoom. Yeah. I've been actually very thankful for Zoom, because I feel like I would have lost out on some business, to be honest, if like everyone on the internet had known. But so that is our biggest next chapter for sure. And then partly because of that, but also just because of how I've sort of naturally evolved my business, I am going all in on intensives in 2022. So really leaning into 1 hour, 1 day, and 90 days. And that is how I work with founders. And that is how we have impact together. And that's how they can really take action as quickly as possible, but in a way that's as intentional as possible too. So I'm really excited for what this new year is going to bring. I think it's going to bring a lot of change for sure, but also a lot of really cool impact, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, you're birthing all sorts of beautiful things coming up.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us and my listeners. That's so beautiful. And in a couple weeks, you said you're due.
A couple weeks, yeah. Like supposed to be 3-ish, but 1 to 5 probably. I don't know.
Babies come when babies want to come.
Yeah.
So. Oh my goodness. Well, wishing you so much peace and awesomeness with the birth of your first babe. Oh my goodness, so exciting. And I will make sure that I put all of your information, your website, your email, your social links, whatever you want me to put in the show notes, how they can best contact you. Listeners, if anything sparked your interest that you want to work with Ashlee, or you want to know more about her process and how she can help you, please, please, please reach out to her. As you can see, she's a wonderful resource, and continue to live into those values, because they are what make you stand out. They are what make you different, and they are what builds trust and makes people choose you. So Ashlee, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. And listeners, thank you for being here, and we will catch you next time on The Lisa Pezik Show.
You've been listening to The Lisa Pezik Show. Let's connect more at www.lisapezik.com.